So I'm currently working on the next version of my relationship program. And one of the things that's come up in my comments and DMs and emails and stuff like that is this idea that when you've gone through a breakup or you're trying to repair a relationship, it takes two to tango. This whole idea of if a relationship is going to work, it takes two people. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the myth of it takes two to tango, break down why it's completely possible to repair and save the relationship by yourself. So I get the idea of two to tango. It has a nice ring to it. It feels nice. It gives some sort of comfort of like, okay, well, I tried and it didn't work. It's kind of like chewing gum advice for the mind. It's like, it doesn't have any real substance to it, but it's palatable. So I get it. And there's a lot of advice out there and a lot of, expat coaches or whatever it is that will just be like, oh, don't worry about it. They're the problem. Just walk away from it. And a lot of this advice is really, really disempowering advice. The truth is that this two to tango idea is a myth. And I want to break down why it's a myth and understanding what a relationship is, how it works, and why it doesn't take two people to change a relationship and repair a relationship. I want to talk about how to save the relationship by yourself. So I want to start by showing you this. I want you to see the pattern here. You've got pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. So I want you to look at this pattern and ask yourself, what comes next? It's very, very simple. It's not a trick question. What comes next in this? Blue. It's very, very obvious answer. You recognize the pattern. Your brain was compelled to continue it. There was very little chance that you were saying green, black, orange, gray, whatever it is. You recognized it was a color pattern and your brain filled it in, right? There is a comfort in familiarity and predictability. Our brains are always looking for comfort, an easy way out, an easy way to not have to overthink it. So when a pattern comes up, we recognize that pattern and we fall into that pattern very, very easily. And this happens in all aspects of life without our brains even really registering it. If you think about at a concert or a play or sports game, applause happens, one person and then another person kind of follows on and follows on and follows on, and then it just becomes a big, everyone's doing it. But then it also happens in the other way. One person stops and then someone's like, oh, okay. And then it dies back down again, right? Our brains fall into patterns very, very easily. If I give you this right now, what's the most likely next step? So I just show you the color pink. You've seen that pattern before, but now here it's kind of less obvious. So maybe your brain is saying blue, but now we've spoken about it. Maybe you're like, well, maybe different, maybe something different. There's lots of theoretical possibilities, right? So it may not necessarily be blue. When we get data, more data, then instantly, once we see this, okay, I think it's blue here. The likelihood of blue increases dramatically in terms of what that next step is. Because again, our brains fill that in with the knowledge that we have in an automatic way. So your brain looks at the pattern, as all brains do, and goes with the response that you're familiar with. Blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. It's just a pattern that our brain has recognized. And it's the same for relationships. So when it comes to relationship dynamics, a lot of people don't recognize it. Every relationship has a pattern to it. Sometimes these patterns are very, very healthy. Sometimes these patterns are not so healthy. But it's the pattern that's unhealthy, not the people, if that makes sense. When it comes to recognizing the pattern, it works in the same way. You have your partner's action, your action, partner's action, your action. When you see your partner's action, you do your action. This is what I think that I need to do, or not even actively thinking about it. This is what I'm going to do in response to this action. Same over and over and over again. So when it comes to a breakup, oftentimes breakups happen because, your partner has felt the pattern and is like, I don't like this pattern. They may not even recognize it, but they're just internally like, this pattern does not work. This system doesn't work. I don't like it. And I can see with fairly good certainty what the future is going to be like. And that's what this is here, right? If a breakup happens on this pattern, a breakup happens here because your partner is looking at it going, okay, I know what's coming next. I can see it. I'm looking at all of this evidence here. I can see exactly what's coming next. And your brain is probably doing this too. Well, yeah, there's going to be a blue. So recognizing the pattern is really, really important when it comes to repairing a relationship. And I want you to notice this. Right now, there is no good or bad action. It is just an action and then a response, or a response and then an action. So each action happens in response to the one before it. That's what a pattern is. But it takes two people to create that pattern. Now, this is what's really, really important here. The pattern is created with two people. This is a subconscious contract that you both write. A lot of people at this point then go, okay, well, I recognize the pattern, but she started it or he started it. And this is where the shift comes, especially when it comes to repairing a relationship, is shifting away from this idea of blame. Okay? So blame is a fallacy. When we fall for this fallacy of blame, we look to often absolve ourselves from doing things. We're like, yeah, but here's my excuse. I did it in response to my partner's actions, right? That's why I shouted. I shouted because they shouted. I got upset because she triggered me. There's a lot of this she started it. But the fallacy of blame, it ignores the pattern as a whole. And you start to get selective with your data. The blame fallacy ignores how our responses still form that pattern. And it ignores how much our partner's responses are influenced by ours. So when you're looking at the pattern, you've got to look at it as a whole. This is a whole pattern. Just looking at this, what you see as the genesis of this pattern, it ignores the rest of the pattern. You're like, oh, well, I'm excused because that's what happened. No. Your action is your action. And that's what creates the pattern. And when you look at the pattern and your actions, this pattern has your actions within it, right? The pattern doesn't exist without those actions. And that's why shifting away from this idea of blame, of she started it, is really important. Because everyone thinks somebody else started it. Because all we do is we look at one point in the pattern and choose that as the data point to go, oh, well, this is when it started. The chances are that that action was still in a response to another action, right? The pattern is the pattern. So shifting away from blame to how you respond and your actions is really, 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 really important. And this is what is key to relationship repair, is you look at your response in the pattern. That's how the pattern is broken and how the pattern can change. And that's how, by yourself, in changing your responses, that changes that pattern. Responsibility is taking back control of the pattern. Look at your actions and responses in the pattern. So pink and blue, it's probably kind of sexist, but it is what it is. So we're going blue, 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 blue. We're looking at our actions that make up that pattern. That's what responsibility is. It's not about looking at who started it, because that will be argued forever. Responsibility is looking at what is my response? What is my ability to respond? If your ability to respond is limited, if you have a very limited tool set, then you're not very responsible because you have a limited ability to respond. So if your action is always the same response, that is a lack of responsibility. You don't have any flexibility in this situation. You're not able to break the pattern. So taking responsibility is breaking the pattern by changing your actions. And I want you to see how the pattern starts to change just by your responses. So at this moment in time, your partner's actions are exactly the same. But when you're changing your responses, see how this pattern is different, right? It's less of a pattern now because different response here, different response here, different response here, different response here, different response here. What comes next? Potentially pink, but your response is now different. You have a bigger tool set. Tool set that you learn is learned away from the relationship. And that is what I really want to make clear here, is that this whole idea of it takes two to tango, your ability to respond, the way that you change how you show up and how you respond, is key to repairing a relationship. This is what breaks the pattern. But oftentimes people don't break that pattern within themselves. Once you change your responses, over time, you can start to watch your partner's responses change as well. Because your responses change, they don't need their old responses. Because if you were just always blue, 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 they were in the same way as you, were like ping, 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 ping. But once you change your responses, they don't need their old responses. That pattern is broken. And over time, their responses change. So if you look at this, you've got your action, then your partner's action, your action, your partner's action. So you're still looking for that pattern, but that, as of right now, typically that pattern is not there. It's not there right now, but you're still looking for it. But if you keep up changing your actions over time, all of the members that I work with have seen is that their partner's actions start to change as well. The partner's actions start to become different, and that pattern is broken. So now it is patternless. Now, our brains feel uncomfortable in this because it feels less predictable, and our brains don't like unpredictability. They like certainty. And sometimes that's how toxic relationships happen so easily, is because sometimes our brains will look for the comfort in toxicity because they recognize the pattern and they know what the response is, rather than the uncertainty of breaking that pattern. Changing your actions and your responses is important to break that loop. And that's what changes the relationship. Now, working with a lot of my members have found is that once they break the pattern within themselves and learn those tools in order to disrupt the relationship pattern, that's what changes the dynamic. Changing the dynamic is how you show up. This is what I work on with all of the members, is not just recognizing the pattern, but understanding what are the tools that are effective in order to lead a better path forward. And obviously this is a YouTube video, so I can't dig super deep into it right now. But if you do want to dig deeper into it and understand relationships and how they work and how to break those patterns, in my relationship bootcamp, where you'll learn the same fundamental steps and tools that all my members start with before we start working together in order to repair and rebuild the relationship from the ground up. All you have to do is just click on the link in the description to grab your spot. So it's really important to recognize this pattern. It's really, really, really important. So it's not just about breaking the pattern. It's about learning the right tools in order to do that. When you start to show up very differently and learning the healthy tools over time, those tools start to become the relationship default. Now, it doesn't happen instantaneously. And this is what's really important. That's why these XBAC programs don't provide you with healthy tools. They provide you with ways to kind of disrupt the pattern, but not how to change the pattern long term. So oftentimes these XBAC coaches give you something to break a pattern, but then eventually you just go back to the same tools to the original pattern overall, because you're not learning the long-term tools, if that makes sense. So this is why, when I work with members, I work with them on a long-term basis, because it's about not just learning the pattern disruption tools, but also learning the tools that are effective that can lead the relationship, so you're both ending up using the effective tools long-term. And this is leading by example. So as you can see here, once you have an effective tool and you can show with action that that tool is useful and effective for the relationship you're moving forward, then it becomes obvious to use it. Your partner picks this up by default, and that pattern becomes a healthy pattern, right? Because you're using the same tools now, and over time it goes do-do-do. It's still your action, your partner's actions, but they're the same tool because it helps to move the relationship forward long-term in a healthy way. So this then becomes a healthy pattern. Now, the reason why it's so hard to break these patterns is because of what we call expectancy bias. So I've done a deeper dive on this, which I'll link to on the screen, but expectancy bias is when our brains are recognizing that pattern and end up pushing harder to recreate that pattern. So we have expectancy bias within ourselves, and our partner or ex-partner also has expectancy bias. So it's learning how to break that expectancy bias and how to overcome that challenge in order to repair the relationship moving forward. So I'm going to leave you with that deeper dive video on understanding expectancy bias and how this links into this. I'll leave you with that video, and I will see you over there.